Mr. Notaboom, is that the way you pronounce your name?
Yeah, it is.
According to your complaint, you were out having a lovely dinner with your girlfriend?
We were.
And you at the defendant's restaurant?
Actually, no, not at the defendant's restaurant. We had just come from dinner. We were at the defendant's restaurant.
What were you doing there?
Coming by to see a friend of ours that was a bartender.
So you were just there for a drink or just there to visit?
We were going to have one, yeah.
And according to your complaint, you were manhandled by one of the defendant's employees, a doorman.
Yes.
You want an apology in the form of $1,000.
Well, first I just wanted an apology, but now it's gone farther than that.
Well, tell me about the evening.
Well, we just finished dinner. We were at their restaurant going through to the back bar, and Ginger said she had to use the restroom, so she went off to use the restroom. And within about another minute, a gentleman sitting here in a black t-shirt, black shirt, came up to me and said I couldn't stand there, I had to move. And I really didn't know who he was, didn't warn me or introduce himself. And
what exactly did he say to you?
Came up, said, "You got to move, you can't stand here."
Did you say why?
I said I was waiting for her to come out of the restroom. I'd only be a minute. And he said he didn't care, "You got to move or you're out of here." And I said, "Well, you better get your manager, your doorman." And at that point he said he was a doorman as well. And at that point, Ginger was walking back out of the bathroom. I turned, he grabbed me by the arm as I was turning and started to push me out the door, towards the back door. Personally, I wanted to clock the guy because I felt it was unwarranted, but I didn't do it because I'm in the business as well. I own a couple of bars and restaurants. And I knew that it was a no-win situation.
You are Mr. Zipfel.
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you a witness to this incident?
No, I wasn't. I'm the general manager of the restaurant, and I have my employees here with me that were there, and I have a picture of the sign right there, the actual sign. It says, "Hey, the fire marshal says do not stand in the aisle."
It doesn't look like a very serious sign, sir. You want to know why it doesn't look like a serious sign? Because there's misspelling in there. You know, it doesn't look like a fire marshal sign.
It's not an actual fire marshal sign. It's just, in our concept has that kind of wordage on their menus and all that kind of type of thing.
Just a suggestion to you, and I know it's gratuitous, but if you want somebody to take a sign seriously, you don't spell says, S-E-Z. If you want them to take it seriously, you make it look like a serious sign, like it's a joke. All right, let me hear from you, up here. Your name, sir?
Alex Spiegel. Alex Spiegel.
Mr. Spiegel, you want to tell me you are the doorman or whatever?
I'm the doorman here, yeah.
Tell me about your recollection of the evening.
Okay, on the night, I was standing next to the stairs where the yellow stairs were, and when I turned around, this gentleman was standing in the aisle, and there was, like manager said, the night was pretty slow, so there was nobody else standing there. So I asked him once if he could move.
Why?
Because, well, first, it is
There's nobody else standing there.
Because the waiters have to get food from the kitchen to the tables, and they have big trays, and it's a lot. So fire marshal said, you know, he will be in trouble if fire marshal comes in and there are people in the aisle. So I turn around, I ask the gentleman if he should move, and he very rudely says, "I'm not moving until you get the rest of these people to move." I look around and said, "There's nobody else there." I said, "Sir, you got to move." He goes, "I'm not moving until my..."
So you looked around and there wasn't anybody else standing there?
Not in the aisle, no, ma'am.
Well, were there a lot of other people around there?
Oh, of course, it was a restaurant, but...
How many other people were around there?
Upstairs, maybe 100, maybe.
And he was standing there all by himself in the aisle, according to you?
Yeah, basically. He was standing right under the sign, actually. He was standing right in the middle of the aisle, which is about 4 feet, and he was standing in the middle of it, just with his,
Wasn't doing anything wrong?
No, not at all.
Did he tell you he was waiting for his girlfriend? So?
And what happened? I gave him, I said, okay. I said, he answered twice rudely that he's not moving. I said, okay, then you have to leave, because he's getting a little aggressive.
No, just a second. How was he getting aggressive?
Well, he was answering in, like, really foul language, I guess, you know, I don't want to say it, but he was answering that I ain't moving until you get the...
Christopher Notaboom says he was unjustly manhandled in a restaurant by bouncer Alex Spiegel while waiting for his girlfriend to return from the restroom. Now, he wants a grand apology.
At which point did he tell you, sir, that his girlfriend was in the restroom and that's why he was standing there waiting?
After the second time. The second time I said, okay, now you have to leave. He said, I'm not leaving until my girlfriend comes out of the bathroom. I said, okay. So I was looking for a manager, and so I was waiting for his girlfriend to come back, and when I turned around, I noticed a lady was walking out of the bathroom, and she stood next to him, so I figured that was her. And so I said, now you gotta go. He goes, I ain't going until I'm ready. So I said, no, you gotta go now. So I put my hand on his back, to start escorting him out the nearest exit, which was the back exit at the time. And he says, if you don't get your hands off me, I'm gonna swing at you. I took that as aggression, as him threatening me. So I put both hands on him because I don't...
You had already put one hand on him.
Yeah, to start escorting him towards the back door because he was not moving.
Doesn't sound very hospitable to me, sir. You went up and flexed your muscle and said, now you have to move, right?
Correct.
It's so good to be old. You get such a wealth of information. It has its drawbacks too, Bert. Does that sound familiar to you? That scenario?
Familiar?
Yeah.
Broken,
Okay.
somewhat.
Is this the first time you've heard all of this whole thing? His side and his side?
No.
You've heard it before?
Yes.
We talked on the phone.
You think that your employee overreacted to a situation?
No, I don't. Your Honor, we deal with the public. We deal with the public that's been drinking. We deal with the public in all different forms of different capacities. We are out, our door people are out to keep the public safe in our restaurant. When we feel that the public safety is in jeopardy, we ask that person to leave. Obviously, I have a lot of faith in my employee. He's been working for me for a long time, and he has not had any other problems with any other customer since he's been there. He felt that this was a safety violation and to the public safety.
You were sitting back there, so you couldn't see this gentleman's eyes as he was testifying. I saw his eyes. And he knows that the final thing that he said to this gentleman was designed to incite a problem rather than smooth it over. His girlfriend came up from the bathroom. All he had to do was step back, because if that's where he was standing, waiting for her to get back to the bathroom, all he had to do was step back. They would have been gone. Instead, he showed his muscle. He said, now you're gonna move. That's not designed to keep. He called you up for an apology. It would have seemed to me to be nothing but good business, Mr. Zipfeld, to apologize to him, to say to him, I'm sorry, it happened, come in, have a drink with us. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, I told him I just wanted to sit down and talk about it. That was it.
That's
I
all he
didn't want
wanted.
anything out of it.
So tell me about what happened when you called him.
Well, it was a Monday morning, and I was at work at my restaurant, and he said he would get back to me latest by Tuesday, and he never did. And my friend that is a bartender there came in that week, and I said, hey, could you get a hold of your manager? I talked to him, he hasn't got back with me. He did get back with me about a week later and said he hadn't forgotten about anything, which was, I appreciated that. And he would get back to me, which never happened.
Well, did you tell him what you wanted?
Yeah, I told him I didn't want any compensation out of it. I said, at worst, I want to sit down with my girlfriend, him, the employee, and myself, sit down and talk about it, and then take action from there. That's
What
all.
kind of action were you contemplating?
Disciplinary. That's, you know, look over what happened and then deal with it as you see it.
What kind of disciplinary action, Mr. Notenboom?
Well, I felt humiliated out of this whole thing. As I was being escorted out, you had all these people hooting and hollering. It was wrong. It's totally wrong.
You mean the people around the bar
Oh, yeah.
area?
Yeah.
What were they doing?
Oh, people in the restaurant area. Well, they saw somebody getting kicked out, so they thought it was funny, and everybody was making a big deal about it, just hooting and hollering.
Restraint, sir. If you're in a position of authority in a place, you're supposed to exercise utmost restraint.
If I may say something, though.
Absolutely. Step up here.
I just think that
You can stay, Mr. Zipfeld.
I just think that is I asked him twice politely to move, and I did not, he said his girlfriend was coming. I said, that's right. He did not have to stay in the aisle. He had he had a lot of room besides him to just move over. That's all he had to do. All he had to do was step 1 foot over.
Your
And it
authority
a-
was being threatened, not the safety of
It
the
was,
business.
It was not my authority. It was what I had to do. That's what I'm employed. I'm employed to ask people to step out of the aisle.
Your authority, when he didn't move, was threatened, not the safety of the people in the restaurant.
I'm not saying the safety, but the problem is, if I ask this gentleman to move and he doesn't move, and everybody just starts standing there, nobody's gonna listen to me. And
I'm
that's
not worried about anybody.
I understand that. I
Look at
understand
him.
that, but
Look at her. I mean, they weren't breaking up the joint. They weren't
No.
throwing beer bottles around. They weren't, putting gum on the floor. They weren't smoking pipes and cigars. I mean, they came in there. She went to the bathroom. You just should have waited 2 minutes
I did
2
wait.
minutes.
I waited for her to come back.
And then you had to say something else.
If he
Do
did
you
not move-
understand?
Yes, ma'am, I do. But
All right.
if he would have moved over, the whole situation would have been done. All you had
Shoulda,
to do was
woulda,
take one
coulda,
step
you
over.
know. If I were 5'7", I would have been a gorgeous penthouse model. But I'm not. And he didn't. And you should have exercised restraint. Now, Mr. Notaboom, it appears to me today, sir, that you are not going to get an apology from these people. And I think that they should in some way compensate you. Because I think they were wrong. I think that that's what you want. You want an apology in the form of something, right? So how much was this humiliation worth to you, sir?
Well, I tell you what, how about $1,000 to my charity that I choose?
Which one?
How about we'll find a cancer research,
Done.
and we'll do that.
Done. $1,000 for the plaintiff to charity. Thank you.